Thank you so much for stopping by to see what I am working on today. So in my video that I uploaded on Sunday, I showed you this card that I created for Craft Roulette for this week. And I told you that I was going to be creating another one this week with a little different look on it so that I could meet the challenge that that Crafty Al did for her member live that happened on, when was that? On Sunday night, I believe it was. And then on Tuesday, you saw the cards that I created for my sheetload of cards for this month using this Frames and Flowers 12 by 12 Specialty Designer Series paper. And that's why I only have this much left of this paper pack, as well as some of the die cut images. So, but I wanted to show you today how I created this tri-fold, fun fold kind of card. And so that's what I'm going to be working on today. So the first thing that I want to talk about is when you select your paper, you have to make sure that when you open it, that the direction isn't going to make a difference. So you can create this card either in the portrait form or in the landscape form. Now, if I did landscape, then I would put my sentiment going across like this. But the key is to make sure that when you open up the card, that the design that's on the inside as well as down in this corner looks good, that the direction isn't upside down, as well as if this was landscape, that it would have to look good this way. And so in this case, it looks good from the front, the design, and then when I open it up, the back of that designer paper looks fine like this, and this corner looks fine. So that is the key when selecting your paper, and that's why I decided to go with this one. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to cut your piece to 5 1/4 by 12 inches. And then you're going to score it at 4 inches and 8 inches. And so I've already done that. So I'm just going to go ahead and burnish my scoring lines. And then the next step is to find out. So I'm going to be doing another portrait card. So I'm going to be wanting to cut off this part here so that I have this in the corner. So the trick is to figure out where, you're going to be doing that. So let's say if I had it like this, it doesn't really matter with my direction, but pick the part that you want to go on the front. And I like this, even though I'm going to cover up a lot of it. So basically what I'm going to do now is I need to cut off this part up here. So I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to bring in my cutting tool here, and I know that I'm going to want to cut from this corner. So I'm going to put that in the track, and then my score line is right here, and I want to put the score line in my track there so that when I make sure that when I go to cut it off, it's right where I need to. And then this part you can use for something different. So there is the part that needs to happen. And I saw another card where we can use this scrap, but we're not going to work on that today. So I have 2 of those scraps. So I'll decide if I want to use them on some note cards that I've seen done. And if I do, I will be sure to come on here and show you all. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and decide what color of base I want. On this one I did petal pink. And then decide what I want my inside pull-out to look like. And then once I get all that, and decide what I'm going to put on the front. Once I get all that figured out, then I will come back and continue putting this card together with you all. I do know that I'm going to be using this Country Flowers set because one of the, I don't know if you want to say, so we had to pick our own path on what this card looked like when we were at the member live with Crafty Owl the other night. And one of the things that I picked was my card had to have coloring on it. So I'm going to go ahead and use this floral bunch here and probably this, and so that I can do some coloring on that. And I will do all my coloring off screen. I'm not going to do all that here, but I will go ahead and pull together the rest of my supplies and whatever dimensions I need to share with you so that we can continue making this card. Okay, be back in a minute. Okay, so after looking at the path that I chose that I need to make for this card, which is a fun fold and a birthday, has to be a birthday card, a fun fold, and coloring and glitter. So where I decided that I wanted to add the glitter, I had to make a little bit of change to the part that I showed you before. So we had already done this part. But then I decided I wanted to add glitter in here. So that meant that I was going to have to cut off some of it to have that border of glitter here. So what I did was I took a ruler and I measured in, and let's see, what did I do? I decided to do like 3/8 of an inch. So I had to go in 3/8 of an inch and cut that off. But it's challenging because up here, when I did 3/8 of an inch, see what happens is when you put it in your cutter and you get to that 3/8 of an inch up here, it's not going to take the entire piece off. So you just have to make sure that when you mark it, that when you cut up here, that you're doing 3/8 of an inch, and then I can just snip that off with my paper snips, and then I can go ahead, and I found some glitter paper in my stash, so I went ahead and cut a strip of, and let's see, what size is this? This is like a 1/2 inch is what I chose. So now what I'm going to do is, while this is still open, before I glue it down, I'm going to go ahead and figure out how I can get just a little bit of this showing. So probably what I'll end up doing is lining this up. So what I did was, let me show you. I took a piece of regular, let's see if I can find one here, a regular size piece of 6x6 glitter paper. So let me pull one out of here so I can hopefully explain what I did. So I took one of these, and all I did was cut it diagonally in half, and then I cut a strip in one of those of a 1/2 inch. Yeah. And this isn't the exact same one. I had another one that I pulled it out from. So now what I can do is I can figure out how I'm going to get this in here so that I just have a little strip. I'm going to have to do some cutting. But I just really want to show just a little bit of that glitter paper. So I'm going to have to finagle to figure out how to get that to work. And I'll probably have to put it in this way. Probably this is the way. So I'll just put a little bit of glue down this side, and then I can lay this in here. And then when I've got that glued down, I can do some trimming if I need to. And hopefully I'll have a little strip like that. So that's going to be my next challenge, because I want to have that little glitter there. So I'm going to do that, but before I do that, I'm going to show you the other pieces that I'm going to be using for the front of my card. So the first thing we need, this is going to be my card base that this is going to lay on top of. And this size is 5.5 by 4.25. So 5.5 by 4.25. That'll be where this is going to be adhered to. Then as far as the front goes for the design, I'm going to go ahead and put another piece of the pumpkin pie. And this is 3 3/8 by 2.25 across. And then this piece, which is the petal pink, I just came from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. So I'm using these on the inside and the outside. And I think the one I chose was the third from the largest. And then for the inside, I went ahead and stamped my sentiment that's going to be used on the inside. And that's the largest of the Stitch So Sweetly rectangles here. And I stamped the Have a Blessed Day, which comes from the Unbounded Love. And then I will adhere that to another piece of pumpkin pie, which is 4.25 by 3.25. And then I'll adhere that. And then that'll go inside my pocket on the inside. And then I went ahead and from this Country Flowers I stamped the flowers and this one, the pail, and I did some coloring and on both of them, and those are going to be my design that goes on the front. And basically I'm just pulling in the same colors. These flowers here have the petal pink, and I did light and dark, and then I also did pumpkin pie on the inside. I did both the light and dark pumpkin pie on this flower. On these little flowers, I did kind of the outline. I did Lost Lagoon, and then I did the light soft sea foam, so that it had a little bit of lighter. I didn't want them really dark. And then as far as my greenery was, I just kind of mixed a little bit of little bit of the light granny apple green, and then the old olive. I think I used which one was this? The light old olive. And then I used just a tiny bit at the tips, at the base here, the light Mossy Meadow. Even though Mossy Meadow isn't in here, I really didn't have to use it. I probably could have just used the old olive and a little bit of that granny apple green. But that's how I did my coloring there. So that'll be my design on the front. And then my happy birthday, I pulled that from, because I wanted it to be small, so I pulled that from the Country Birdhouse. And since I wanted it to be small, because it's going to go down here, I was going to use the die that was in here, but it was too big. I didn't want this big one. So I went ahead and pulled out my happy little things and did that die to die cut that happy birthday out. And that's what I'll be putting at the bottom here. So let me go ahead and work on that. Just adhering it all together. I mean, you don't need to see me adhering it. I'm assuming you all know how to do that, because if you're watching this video, you're a card maker. So I'm going to go ahead. The challenging part is going to be this little strip here on getting it inside here, because I just want a little bit of that glitter, because like I said, my card has to be a fun fold, birthday, coloring, and glitter. So that'll meet all the paths that I chose for Crafty Al's live member show that I attended on Sunday night. And then this card will be ready for me to submit for her drawing. I have to have it in by Tuesday night. And so while you're watching this video, I'm sure I've already submitted it. So anyway, let me go ahead and finish this, and I'll come back and show you what the finale looks like. Okay, so I wanted to show you what I ended up doing with this. That little piece that I had cut off from before, I just used it as my template. And I laid it down on that strip of glitter paper right at the edges, and then I had that extra hanging off of both sides, and I just snipped it and snipped it on both sides. So now when I put this in my card, here's the score line. If I put that point right up at that score line and this point at this score line, see, I'm not going to glue it down. I'm just going to lay it there. And then I'm going to add glue, probably just to the end of this piece. And then when I push it over like that, it'll go ahead and adhere to that glitter paper. And you just want to make sure that you don't get any on this part. So maybe I should put the glue on this part here. And then just kind of point to point, lay it down, and then fold this over, and then that way it'll adhere. And then after that, after I get that adhered, then I'll just open it up and I'll add some probably tear and tape here at the bottom, so that when I fold it over, it'll adhere to that whole bottom part. Hopefully that makes sense, but I think that's going to work. I think it's just a matter, it was just a challenge on how I was going to get that, all because I needed to make it difficult, right? And I wanted to add this glitter strip. So I think if I do that, line it up point to point, and then put my glue right there, just a little bit because I don't need a whole lot. And then I'll put this down, and then that'll adhere. And then once that's adhered, then I can go ahead and just put a piece of tear and tape at the bottom here and fold it back over, and then that way my pocket will be done. So I'm going to go back and do that. But once I figured it out, I wanted to come back and show you what I had decided to do. And I think that was the easiest way to figure it out. Okay, be back with the card complete. Okay, I'm back to show you the finale. I think it came out so cute. I really like it. So there we have, and everything's adhered down flat except the flowers. They're popped up, and the happy birthday, I popped it up as well. And then you open it up, and then we have that little glitter there with our little note card that we can pull out and write a little note to somebody. So I think I did my path that I selected, which was Fun Fold, which is that right there, and then a birthday card and coloring, and I did coloring, and then glitter, and then I added my glitter to my little pocket. And then on the back, I just stamped my handmade by Choose Joy with Carmen. Okay, well, I hope that I was able to show you how I created this card that wasn't too confusing. I think the only thing that really threw me off was that added glitter that I wanted to do there, which is not part of the original card that I created for Craft Roulette. See, that was just, once you cut it, that made your pocket, and you only had to put the tear and tape at the bottom here. But I had to make it difficult and add that glitter since that was one of the paths that I chose. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this card in this video, and if you did, you can show me your joy by giving this video a thumbs up. And until my next video, have fun crafting, everyone, and remember, choose joy, and may God bless you all. Bye-bye.